All right, so there's been a lot of chatter this week about the AEW World Championship because, good God, that was one of the worst world title matches I've seen in a minute. That was arguably the worst main event. I say it's the worst main event, John Moxley and Cope, that the AEW has ever done. Some are arguing this is the worst championship reign that AEW has ever had. So I decided, you know what, there's been technically that AEW counts 14 different world championship reigns in their company's, 5 or 6 year history. So I'm decided to rank them. I rank all 14 of AEW's world title reigns from worst to best. Starting at number 14, dead last, and that's CM Punk's first reign as world champion. So yeah, so basically I'm ranking this, not the champions, just the specific reigns with the belt. And interim reigns will count. So Moxley has 5 title reigns in this, if you include his interim. So Punk's first reign as champion, I don't really know how to rank this. I say it ended after one episode of Dynamite where he came out after beating Hangman Page to have a 6-man tag, broke his foot before the match even started, vacated the championship that Friday. Not really vacating it, but saying that he's injured. When he came back a couple months later, had that weird shoot promo with Hangman, and then got squashed by Moxley in Moxley's hometown to lose the belt a week before All In or All Out. One of the weirdest situations that's ever happened with the title because such a huge moment, and then Punk immediately breaks his foot. And then for some reason he didn't drop the belt. They just did that interim thing. And then Punk just gets squashed by Moxley because Moxley didn't want to lose clean the Punk at All Out. I don't know, man. This was a time. And that's why it ranks dead last on this list. Number 13 is, that reign that came immediately after Punk's first reign. It's Moxley's second reign as AEW World Champion. Well, technically, it's a second reign. Only lasted 11 days. He squashed Moxley in Cincinnati to officially go from interim champion to official champion. And then the week later, he lost it to Moxley in Chicago at All Out in what was a decent world title match. That was very bloody on Punk's end. That's what I said. These two reigns, Moxley's second reign and Punk's first reign, are pretty much interchangeable to me. They're just weird. They serve about the same purpose. They really don't do anything because they're just so short. Number 12, we're going to now the first, quote unquote, real championship reign in this. And it's Moxley's fourth reign as AEW World Champion. His current reign. Good God. He won the belt when he first came out, when he first attacked Danielson at All Out, and then had his first initial thing with Death Riders. It seemed pretty cool. Moxley had just, essentially became pissed off with the stagnation of AEW and wanted to set an example and kill off Bryan Danielson and try and motivate the young guys, but that has not been what this title reign has been. It's just been Moxley just cutting the same boring-ass promo and just feuding with whoever. Cassidy had that really bad 4-way at World's End, and then has had the awful, near 3-month-long feud with Cope, which has been so bad and resulted in one of the worst main events in company history. I don't even know what to say about this reign because it's just been not good. It's been boring. It's devalued the goodwill that the AEW World Championship had previously had. It's easily, in my opinion, the most offensive and terrible championship reign the company has ever put on. And the only reason it didn't rank dead last is because we had 2 championship reigns that lasted a week. just no other way to put this. This has actively hurt the company. It's actively hurt the title's lineage. That's why it ranks so low on this list. They just need to drop. I said they should have just had Christian cash in become champion and have Moxley go on and do something else. But now they have Swerve going for the belt. Swerve just needs to go ahead and just become champion again. Just have a second reign. Because this Mox reign has been smelly. We haven't even seen the belt. The belt is locked up in a box. That's just what you need to say. At number 11, I have Punk's. This is probably one of the funniest entries on the list. I have Punk's second reign as AEW World Champion. This technically lasted even less time than his first reign. Of course, he won the belt back from Moxley in Chicago. During the match, he tore his tricep right off the bone. So he was already hurt coming out of the match. And then afterwards, he had the infamous pipe bomb at the press conference where he called out pretty much everyone in AEW, called all of management, called out the Elite. The only person he actually said he liked was Adam Cole, which is pretty funny. That's the only guy he likes. And then got into that fight with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega after the press conference in the locker room. And then the Wednesday after to open up the show, Tony Khan announced that he stripped CM Punk of the belt, which didn't really matter because Punk was already going to be out with injury anyways. So his world title reign lasted about 3 days, if that. Realistically, it pretty much lasted about an hour when he got into that fight with the Elite. So, yeah, the only reason it ranks this high is because it is pretty funny. CM Punk's press conference is probably one of the most infamous wrestling moments of all time. Easily one of the most infamous AEW moments, if not the most infamous AEW moment of all time. So yeah, that's why it ranks this high on the list, even above actual championship reigns. And I'm not ranking because it's not technically an official reign. I can't rank the real World Championship that Punk had in the summer of All Out. Oh, no, the summer afterwards in 2023. Because it's not officially listed on the Wikipedia, and that's where I'm going off of. So I will not technically list his reign as the real world champion. So, yeah. Number 10, I have Mox's third reign as AEW World Champion. All of these reigns, well, besides the Mox's fourth reign, have ranked about the same time period, that 2022 summer to fall range. Because this was just such a weird time in the company when Punk just kept getting hurt. And they would just have Mox swoop in to try and establish some credibility to the championship. Yeah, Mox pretty much won this off of Danielson after they vacated the championship. He won it at Grand Slam when I thought realistically Danielson probably should have won the belt, but whatever. And then it's only designed just to put the belt on MJF. Mox did have a mini program with Hangman Page where Hangman got a really bad concussion during one of their matches. That program could have actually went places. It did end up going to their Texas Death Match, but I thought Hangman probably should have and maybe could have been involved in the championship match, maybe the triple threat at Full Gear if he didn't get injured. So, yeah, it ranks high because, it was just designed to pretty much put over MJF, nothing more, nothing less, and establish a feud with Hangman. It was just inoffensive, to say the least. That's pretty much just what Mox's, besides that fourth reign, it's pretty much what Mox's reigns have been, just inoffensive, whatever reigns. But I do appreciate, I give points to this just because, it helped the company, calm down after Punk-related shenanigans. Number 9 on this list, I have Bryan Danielson, another reign that involves Jon Moxley in some way. Of course, Danielson, in my opinion, had the best match in company history, the best moment in company history at All In last year where he won the title off of Swerve in a title versus career match. Had his family in there celebrating. And then his first feud was fighting with freaking Jack Perry, of all people, which was so dumb. So bad. Whatever. It was just a whatever match. Match was fine at All Out. It wasn't even the main event, so who really cared? And then that's when Mox went out and killed Bryan Danielson with a plastic bag. Sure. And Danielson was off for a few weeks. He came back just to have the match with Moxley in Seattle. Put Moxley over in a pretty good match for his retirement match, ? And that was it for Bryan Danielson. Pretty much about a month-long championship reign. This only ranks as high as it does just because of the way he won the belt. The win itself was just such a good moment. And Danielson did his damnedest to establish the Death Rider as a legit threat, as a legit act. So, it's could have even ranked higher if, the Death Riders' reign, Moxley's fourth reign, became better. But I can't knock it down too much because of what came afterwards, because that's not Danielson's fault. It would have ranked higher if they had anybody besides Jack Perry be his only other feud. Why was Jack Perry his feud with the belt? Like nobody else. There was nobody else. Whatever. Number 8 on the list, I have Moxley's interim reign as champion. This was right after Punk's first reign where he had to vacate the championship. Moxley won the interim belt in the main event of the first Forbidden Door off Hiroshi Tanahashi, and what was a pretty boring ass match. Tanahashi's knees were made of dust. God, Tanahashi could not wrestle at this time. and what was even worse, I think Tanahashi the year later had a match for the World Championship at Forbidden Door, and his knees are even worse shape. Good God, he looked like, he was like wrestling's version of like Brandon Roy or Derrick Rose. He looked like crap out there. And they kept trotting that old man out there to do air guitar and put on boring-ass world title matches. Why do they keep doing this to Tanahashi? Why? And why do they keep putting Moxley with these old-ass Japanese guys with no knees? Like the year later when Moxley defended the IWGP belt against Naito, and Naito was old. Stop doing this to Mox. Whatever. I'm tired of talking about Japanese stars' old ass knees. This reign was just to calm down after Punk's injury. As I said, it ranks as high because Moxley went out there, held down the fort. He had that weird ass feud with Jericho, the Jericho Appreciation Society. Who really cared? This ranks as high pretty much just because it was really good calm the company down, because they just put over Punk huge, over Hangman, and then their new guy immediately gets hurt. And Moxley pretty much just said, I'm going to put the company on my back, and that's what he did. He put the company on his back and, held down the fort pretty much. So I'm looking at the rest of this list. From here on out, these are all, I guess, official reign necessarily. Pretty much AEW had a lot of the first half of this list was just pretty much either feuds or title reigns that were Punk reigns either into too quickly, or Mox reigns that were to establish, the company to calm down after a Punk related shenanigan. And they also had Danielson and another official Mox reign. So here on out, these are the, 7 official reigns as champion besides Mox's current reign. Like, these are the long-term championship reigns from here on out. Put it that way. And the worst out of those, number 7, is Hangman Adam Page. God, this is so unfortunate. Probably the best story in company history. Hangman took about a 2-3 year storyline where he lost his confidence, became an alcoholic, got saved by Kenny Omega in their championship, their tag title reign, lost Kenny Omega and he turned heel on him, became an alcoholic again, and then found the Dark Order, which helped him beat his alcoholism, and had a whole year-long thing to where he built himself back up to the AEW World Championship scene, and then ended up beating Kenny Omega, one of the best moments in company history. And then the reign that came afterwards was not the best, because the issue was with Hangman here is that as a babyface, he really just couldn't be the top guy in the company. And not only that, there just wasn't any crazy heels for him to go against. Like out the gate, they pretty much had to turn Danielson heel. And that actually worked out very well to help Hangman as a legit threat, because he had that 60-minute long draw with Danielson and had like another 40-something minute banger on a Dynamite and the rematch. And then he just had a whatever feud with Adam Cole. And then I think that they just went... No, they went to a Lance Archer thing with that. And then they went into the Punk thing, where Punk just pretty much shat all over Hangman, and Hangman was way out of his league. That was pretty much the issue with Hangman in this feud, is that, and this whole reign, was that he was just way out of his league. I just had to readjust. My dogs were snoring. And the dogs were snoring during Hangman's championship reign too, because that shit was boring as hell. Yeah, Hangman was just... Like, immediately out the gate, Danielson was just so much better. I feel like that's easy to say because, he's one of the best of all time. But good God, Hangman could not live up to Danielson. Danielson just ate him alive on the mic and then ate him alive in the ring. It was a really tough scene. And then Hangman, I remember in the episode, because Deadlock talked about it, where he got destroyed on the microphone by Jake Roberts, where Heyman was trying to cut this really passionate promo that, like, he's a company workhorse, right? He had to leave his infant son, to be here. It was just snowed in. He had to drive here. And Jake Roberts says, "Oh, shut up, boy." And then just runs him down to the point where you can pretty easily tell that Tony Khan had to send Lance Archer out to cut Jake Roberts off, because Jake Roberts was just eating Hangman alive. He was chopping that man up on the mic. And Jake Roberts' old and raspy ass voice was like, "Oh boy, you're not a real champion, boy. You a softy, boy." And like just killing this dude. And that's pretty much, I think, where Hangman's reign died. Because good God, you got your shit rocked by a old ass Jake Roberts. How? And then Punk destroyed him on the mic too, and then that's when Hangman had that weird workers' rights promo that eventually was the first step to damn near killing the company, where Punk just went off on him after that. It led to the brawl out scenario. Yeah, Hangman initially started that. That's why I ranked so low on this list, because it was just so weird. Hangman was so out of his element. And it eventually almost led to the downfall of the whole company. But, I mean, the matches were cool, though. And he had that weird-ass main event with Adam Cole. Adam Cole came out in the Master Chief attire. That was right after they had the MJF Punk match, which was one of the best matches they've ever done. And that's also another thing with this, is at the same time they were doing the MJF Punk storyline. That was easily the best thing the company's ever done. At the same time, this World Championship reign that sees your top guy just getting destroyed, just absolutely wrecked by Danielson and Jake Roberts. So, moving on. Number 6, the longest reign in company history, and that's technically, not really. That's MJF's reign as world champion. This was just such a tale of 2 halves, 3 halves. I don't know. He won the belt off of Moxley, really cool moment. Then he feuded with Ricky. That was solid. He had that, and he just had the really bad promo with Takeshita that really hurt his credibility. He was just doing weird, bad MJF promos that just try and get cheap heat and are just not very good. And then he had the feud with Danielson that calls him the work, Bubba. That story, the last two reigns, you want your champion to start putting in that work. Put him in the ring with Danielson. That boy will stretch them out and take them to the limits. That's what they did with MJF. Made him credible again. And then they had some people really liked the four pillar match in storyline. I mean, I didn't. The match was cool, but I really just didn't care. I feel like it probably should have been Darby and him one-on-one, but whatever. I don't know why Jack Perry and Sammy Guevara were here. And then they did the Adam Cole storyline. That initially was really good. They turned MJF babyface in such a really good, natural way. They didn't really betray his character at all. And then they had a really good match at All In with Adam Cole where MJF either should have lost to Adam Cole, and that's where Adam Cole turned heel, or should have beat Adam Cole, and then Cole turns on him afterwards. I think right there at All In where Adam Cole doesn't turn heel, that's where MJF title reign completely went off the rails. Because what was it, like immediately afterwards, when they were doing the babyface thing with Adam Cole, they have the Samoa Joe thing. That was really good, but then Adam Cole gets hurt. They do that devil thing, devil storyline, that's crap. The Switchblade storyline was so bad. And for about a 2 or 3 month span, AEW, especially the main event scene, was pretty much unwatchable. The MJF reign was that bad. The devil stuff was awful. And it went on for so long because they were clearly trying to pivot because Adam Cole got hurt. And they didn't know if they wanted Cole as involved in it or not. Oh, yeah, and then MJF was still the ROH Tag Champions. It was on pay-per-views in, like, handicap matches for some reason against, like, The Righteous. And then he had to team up with Samoa Joe for some reason. And then he had the awful main event where he, like, got injured, came back. Somehow, MJF wasn't medically cleared to wrestle, but Adam Cole, who has a broken foot, is. And then proceeds to just shit all over Switchblade. Man, I don't want to keep talking about this damn championship reign. Tony Khan started... People forget this. He started the Devil storyline the same... later in the night, or to start the show, Adam Cole announced he got injured and broke his foot and is going to be out forever, pretty much. He was out for so long. And that night, the main event is when they started the Devil storyline. People forget that was on the same show. They could have pivoted. They could have just not done the storyline. People say, oh, the storyline was ruined, the Devil storyline, because Adam Cole got hurt. No. Adam Cole got hurt, and they still ran the storyline anyways. Why? Why would you do that? Tony, just pivot. Do something else. Like with Mox's current reign. I know you want to put it on Darby. Do something else, man. Pivot. Listen to the crowd reactions. Listen to the fans. This is something that we don't want. We don't want it. So it's almost... I won't get into Tony Khan in the XWW stuff. Okay, I'll keep my piece right there. I was almost getting ready to say something about our last show. I'll save it. Anyways, moving on. Number 5. These are all good championship reigns out. They really didn't have any flaws. Number 5 is Samoa Joe. This came right after MJF's. He beat MJF for the belt in Long Island. And immediately, like a switch flipped, Samoa Joe just comes out. He's a credible champion. Takes his belt seriously. He has that really good feud with Hook that helps bring Hook up. Elevates him. Makes him seem legit he makes Hook seem legit without ever like putting Joe down to his level. Like he beats the crap out of Hook, or Hook just doesn't die. And I think that's the best way you could build up a simple babyface like that. And then Joe got involved with the Hangman Swerve feud to make it a triple threat, and that was just so good. And eventually that led to Swerve beating him at Dynasty. Well, before then, they had the Revolution triple threat match that I was in the building for that Joe retained. Really good triple threat match. Really entertaining. And then Swerve ended up beating him at Dynasty the next month. And that was that. And that's pretty much just where I had Samoa Joe's title reign ranked this high, because he just, after the crap that was the Punk Mox shenanigans, after the crap that was MJF's into his championship reign, the second after MJF's title reign, Samoa Joe just came out there, made the championship seem like a legitimate prize to win, made himself seem like a legitimate, serious world champion, and lost the belt when he needed to. It didn't drag. It didn't go too long. It didn't go too short. It went the perfect length of time to transition the belt to Swerve, and that's ranked this high because it served its purpose, and it did damn good serving its purpose, making the championship seem credible again. Number 4 is the first championship reign in company history. That's Chris Jericho. He won it off of Hangman. That's initially started Hangman's storyline in AEW, really becoming the main character of the company. Hangman then eventually, went on the team with Kenny and all that. But for Jericho, he won the belt, helped establish the Inner Circle, really established like the main initial heel stable that baby faces to fight over when Dynamite first kicked off. He had the bubbly stuff. He had some pretty good title matches in there with like Cody. And eventually he had the really good feud with Moxley on Dynamite. Now that it's all max, go back and just watch some of Chris Jericho's stuff from this time. It was really good. And he was a great name to hold the belt, to start off and be the first champion in the company. Make the company seem legitimate. That's what Jericho did. He just helped start off, and it was a great inaugural champion for this belt. As much as Jericho has damaged his legacy since he dropped this belt, at the time, in hindsight, I'm not gonna talk about his current stuff, right, Jericho. Just at the time, what the company needed. This is what the company needed, was Jericho as champion, and he lost the belt exactly when he needed to lose the belt to Moxley. And it was just perfect way. It was all perfect. Everything that's come after has been so bad. And moving on to, the second reign in company history, and that's Moxley's first reign as AEW World Champion. Some people may not rank this high on this list because pretty much this entire run was during the pandemic. He won the belt early March of 2020. And about a week or two later was when the shutdown happened. And we all had to go into quarantine. I rank this high because Moxley was just a calming presence. He was a legit presence. You knew he was a top guy in the company. And he just held down the fort during this really, really weird time in company history and world history as a whole. That's why I really appreciate this run. Even though he had not the best set of rivalries and challengers. He had Brian Cage, who was just debuting for the company. He had Lance Archer, I believe, at some point during this. And, of course, he had the debuting Mr. Brody Lee. Oh, yeah, and then he had the weird crap empty arena match with Jake Hager. That was terrible. We don't want to talk about that match. He had the MJF political angle, which was not great. But was just fine. And, of course, he dropped the belt to... Oh, no. He had the fantastic feud with Eddie Kingston, which led to one of the best promo segments in company history as well. And then he dropped it to Kenny Omega. And that was probably the perfect way to end his reign. Mox didn't have a lot of memorable stuff during this title reign, but he held the fort down. And I put this reign kind of alongside Drew McIntyre's reign at the same time as WWE champion, as just, two world champions of the company during really, really weird times necessarily. And they just pretty much held down the fort. Even if their rivalries weren't always the best storylines, they just seemed legit, and they just established legitimacy to the company. That's why I ranked both of their reigns at about the same level. Drew McIntyre's WWE Championship reign during 2020, and Jon Moxley's reign as AEW champion during the pandemic. Number 2 on this list is Swerve Strickland's reign as champion. Yeah, he won the belt off of Joe after Joe helped, bring the championship back from the dead. And Swerve just went off and became the workhorse champion. Night after night, show after show, he would put on these fantastic rivalries, fantastic 5-star matches. Before 5-star matches, he had the pretty good feud, great match with Christian Cage at Double or Nothing. Then he went on to have just an all-time match with Ospreay at Forbidden Door in the main event. When, it really didn't seem like there was many challengers. He made challengers with Ospreay. And, of course, he had the just incredible match with Bryan Danielson, incredible storyline with Bryan Danielson at All In. And he really built himself up to where if he beat Danielson, nobody would have questioned that if Swerve was Danielson's retirement opponent. Everyone would have saw how good he was at the time, how good his reign was, and said, yeah, Swerve seemed like a legit guy to retire Bryan Danielson. Maybe the best wrestler of all time. That's how good he was as champion. That's why Swerve's reign ranks as high as it does on this list, because it was perfect. It was where it needed to be, and established AEW as the wrestling company. And they had a legit wrestler as their top guy. It was perfect with Swerve. But number 1 on this list, talking about wrestlers and AEW being the wrestling company, pretty much number 1 is pretty much everybody's number 1. It's Kenny Omega's reign as the belt collector. He won this reign during the pandemic off of Moxley. And the first thing he immediately did was something that was pretty interesting. He went to Impact Wrestling, and eventually took a few months, but he won the Impact Championship off of Rich Swann. But, Kenny Omega had once he got done with the Moxley feud, it was all go from there. He had match after match. Despite being injured, we found out later on, having injuries throughout his whole reign, was just putting on great match after great match after great match, throughout. And, helped bring AEW back. He won the belt during the pandemic, and he led the company out of the pandemic back into the live crowd era. It just kept having great matches throughout with like Orange Cassidy and Pac in a triple threat. There's probably more that I'm just forgetting, like random episodes of Dynamite. I think he had a match with like Dante Martin, I want to say, in there. That was pretty good. He had that match with Christian Cage, which was solid. Really good match that all that people don't remember, because that was when Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson debuted. And of course had the fantastic 30-minute Iron Man match with Danielson at Grand Slam. One of the best matches in company history. And then lost the belt to Hangman Page. What needed to be the storyline, the match, it established Hangman and ended, put a fairy tale ending on the best story the company has ever done with Hangman Page. And that's why it ranks us on this list, because it's just, when you think about the AEW World Championship, you think about, some low-key storylines that are based in reality. It seemed like a legit sport-type storyline necessarily. And you think about great matches. Hangman Page had both of those. And he led the company during one of the most pivotal moments in company history, coming out of the pandemic. And when they were really on the heels of WWE, and AEW really at this time was beating the crap out of WWE in both on-screen product and even in the ratings. They were damn near beating SmackDown and Raw in the ratings. And Hangman Page was a big part of this as well. And it ended how it should have ended, with Hangman Page losing. No, Hangman Page beating him for the belt. I have hiccups. He had the fantastic match with with Christian Cage that led to the debuts, and even had that really good triple threat match that once again, remind people that Orange Cassidy is a really good wrestler and can challenge for a world championship if need be. And that's ranked aside on this list. That's all I have for this. Just had to rank the world champions because, well, AEW has only been around for so long. They only have, as I said, 14 official reigns as champion. Only 13 if you don't count, if you count Mox's interim and second reign as one official title reign. So, but no, I mean, the company and Wikipedia says that, hey, it's two different reigns, whatever. If I had to rank CM Punk's Real World Championship reign as just the AEW reign, just while he was in AEW, I'd rank it probably 8 above Mox's interim reign, right behind Hangman's reign as champion, as a Real World Champion. But technically that reign is, well, I don't know when it was still ongoing. I think he's still the champion. Or is Rollins on the champ? I don't know. There was a tracker on Twitter, by the way, who tracks his, like, if he had like a one-on-one match or something and like he loses, like he technically loses the belt. So I have to look back at Punk's time in WWE and think about who the hell is the actual AEW World Champion, because technically this is a split off version of the championship right now. Because when MJF won, he won like a different version of the belt than the actual lineal championship. So I'm thinking right now, okay, so Punk came back, lost initially to Drew McIntyre. So I think Drew technically won the championship. I'll do it another time. I don't know who the hell the actual AEW World Champion is right now. That would be an interesting topic for another day, ranking the lineal championship reigns by who's the actual champion of the company. But with that being said, thank y'all. And that should be all. Dogs are currently asleep. They have been all day. Thank you all, and have a blessed one.